Hey, what's up, everybody? It's August 1st, crazily enough, and this is Market Monday segment. I'm Justin, COO of Meta One, and I'm here with Fernando, our Director of Training and Technical Support. Hey, what's up, Fernando? How are you?
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm
Yeah,
doing
man.
pretty well. I'm doing much better. Last week I had a little cold, but
Okay.
feeling much better now. And yeah, I think we're gonna be here talking a continuation of what we spoke last week. So I'm very excited to be here.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, this week we have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of crazy stuff that's happening. I'm really focused on the housing market right now. It's there's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. We also have some. Fernando has some interesting things to talk about. So before we dive into it, just a quick market analysis. Meta One is hovering around the same, staying stable, which is incredible at 376.89. And the rest of the market is kind of all over the place. Let's see, the last 24 hours looks like Bitcoin's down almost 3%, and Ethereum's down almost 6%. It's been a kind of a wild up and down ride the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know that you were saying last time that you were really feeling like it was going to be we haven't hit the bottom yet. Are you still feeling that way?
Yes, I feel the same way because last week we were talking about several scenarios that were happening. One of them was the actual release of the GDP for Q2,
Mm-hmm.
and it was negative.
Yep.
And we also had the interest rates that were increased. We had an increase of 0.75%, which is also not a good news, to be honest. So I feel like what we're seeing right now is a bear rally. It's like a reverse psychology of what's going to happen next. So I feel like this is like a tiny rally, a bear rally that's pushing the market a little bit up to fool the traders into buying right now before the crash that's going to happen. I mean, I cannot guarantee you 100% that this is what was going to happen, but I really feel like this is what's going to happen. A lot of experts agree with me, and I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to go to zero. I'm not saying that there's going to be a massive crash. I just feel like it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. Might take 3 to 4 months before this is over, and after that I think the sky is gonna be super blue. I think we're gonna have amazing times ahead, and after this tiny period of negative numbers, where the market's gonna reach new heights, and we're gonna be back on track for the next bull market. That's what I feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to concur with you on I don't think this is the bottom either. And I think that the market is kind of being fooled right now, like you sort of said,
Yeah,
around a bear market. It's interesting looking at history. If we look at kind of the back at the biggest rallies, at least for the Dow Jones, was in 1929, 1931, 1932, and 1933. And that was before the biggest crash and bear market of all time, the Great Depression. So, and if we look at biggest rallies in after 1950, we're looking at 87, 2002, 2008, and 2009. Do you see a little bit of a pattern going on there?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, 90, 97, 90, and 1987 was oil embargo. 2002 was dot-com crash. 2008, 2009, we all know what that was. So this is what happens. We get some false hope in the middle of a bear market, and everyone gets excited and everyone thinks, oh, the bear market is over. Let's do it. And it's unfortunately it's not. And, I keep on saying this over and over again, but I don't want people to be listening to this and feel like we're all doom and gloom because we're absolutely not.
Yeah,
But we have to also face reality. We also have to look at what's going on, and we have to be
Yeah,
prepared, because if we spend our time in ignorance and not paying attention to really what's going on, like the mainstream media is doing right now, and that guy who's in the White House, um, then we end up losing, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, you gotta be objective. You gotta be able to play devil's advocate and ask the hard questions. Long term, if you ask me, am I bullish? Heck yeah, I'm super bullish. But short term, there's a little wild stuff going on that we have to pay attention to. And after this wild stuff clears out, yeah, we're super bullish. But
yeah.
I feel like we're not out yet. I truly believe that we're gonna find out what's gonna happen in the next weeks, and after that, it's clear skies.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. um cool. So let's talk a little bit about I guess what happened last week, and then we can kind of go into what's going on this week in sort of the world of global finance. So do you want to
Awesome.
kick it off, Fernando? I know you have a couple of great stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to start off by saying that we had an increase in the interest rates of 0.75%. So this means that if you owe money, if you have debt, now you owe a little bit more. So that's not really a great thing. That causes, the stock market to fall, and for people to buy less, assets or whatever.
Mhm.
We also had the actual numbers of the GDP, like we were talking about, that they were negative. So pretty much, the definition of a recession is when you have two consecutive quarters with a negative growth, and that's what happened. But then we had Biden and his team come out saying that we're not in a recession and that they're changing the meaning of the word recession. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm a critical thinker, and a critical thinker is gonna reach his own conclusions, right? And if you have the numbers, you have everything there, and now they are magically changing the meaning of the word recession, is because they're hiding something, is because there's something happening that they don't want to admit, or I don't know what it is. And also I saw that they went to Wikipedia to change the meaning of the word recession and to change the meaning of the word definition, and locked it. So now it is impossible to change that article, because Wikipedia is free for everyone to make changes, and they locked that section. They locked the section defining the word recession and defining the word definition. So that, I mean, that really looks super shady. Why would they do that? What are they hiding? They know that it is true that we're in a recession. However, I feel like it is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because the numbers are not too bad. Like I said, the first quarter, we had a negative 1.6, and the second quarter, we had a negative 0.9. So it's not that bad. However, I feel like, the Biden administration is doing all these changes because the elections are coming up, and they don't want to admit that they're on a recession, because they're going to use these in order to make propaganda for Biden's rival, who I think is going to be Trump again. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much think this is the reason why they're denying they're in a recession. Who knows? I don't know the exact reason, but I do feel like it is super shady what's going on, and how they want to change the definition of the word recession and all that stuff. I don't know what you think.
Of course, man. I mean, this kind of stuff has been going on forever. I mean, this dude is senile. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna say it. He's a senile,
I know.
crazy old man who is dark and definitely not for any of us or anything good. And this kind of stuff doesn't surprise me, but this is so Orwellian. I mean, you're gonna go and change the definition of recession? Like,
It's crazy.
really?
It really, it sounds like something out of the Matrix, out of a movie. It happened.
I know, I'm looking at a news article of it right now. It's nuts. I mean, it's just nuts. And yeah, I mean, this is what they do, right? Because like I said before, the mainstream media is denying that anything is going on right now. They're just like, yeah, the economy's fine, everything's good. No, we're not in a recession, whatever. And it's just it's crap. And just like you
It is.
said, you have to be a critical thinker. You have to use your mind and not pay attention to this whatever media mumbo jumbo. Like, they can say whatever they want, fine,
Yeah.
but it's like you got to look deeper than that, because the numbers don't lie. And the data that I have been seeing lately is, I have to say, I disagree with you in the fact that I don't think this is going to be a short term and then sunshine again. I think that it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. Just because I'm seeing a lot of data that's coming together in this kind of perfect storm scenario in the
Yeah.
traditional markets and the traditional economy that I've never seen before. So it's kind of crazy how many different things are happening right now. And again, it's not a scary thing if you have your money in the right place, if you're doing the right things and you're preparing yourself. But it's interesting. And of course, these are just all our opinions, and that we're making educated guesses. We have no idea what the economy is really going
Yeah.
to do. It's impossible to predict. Nobody can do it. I mean, Michael Burry seems to be pretty good at it, but
Yeah, yeah. And he's saying exactly what you just said. He's saying that he thinks that the market's still gonna go like 40 to 50% down. He could be right. And I mean, he was right on 2008, 2009. He's
yeah,
an expert. And I mean, he might be right. I want to be a little bit positive and say that it's not going to be that bad, and that
yeah,
I mean, it probably will get worse a little bit and then get better, but I want to think it's gonna have it's gonna be like 3 or 4 more months.
yeah,
Could be more. I don't know, but like you said, you gotta do your own research and draw your own conclusions, because that's the way you make money. That's the way how you win the game, by thinking. If you don't think and you let other people think for you, they're gonna use they're going to use information to their advantage, and they're going to use your resources, and they're going to use your boat, and they're going to use all you provide to their advantage. But if you don't rely on them, if you don't rely on the third party, and you just thinking for yourself, you're going to make more profits.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think it's just about being prepared for every scenario,
Yeah.
and whatever happens, it happens. And that's the beautiful thing about blockchain. It's a beautiful thing about gold back cryptocurrency like Meta. It's a beautiful thing about blockchain in general, is that it's another avenue that takes you outside of this corrupt system, and it gives you another way to keep your money safe. So if you make the right moves. Now, I'm not saying that every decision that you can make in crypto is a smart one, because there's lots of crappy ones you can make, but there's a lot of also great options out there too. So I know, and speaking of corruption, I know that you have a story to share about Coinbase, my favorite
Oh,
exchange.
yeah, absolutely. This is a great story. So I mean, if you're listening to these, like, pay attention, because it's amazing what just happened last week. Like 5 or 6 days ago, there was this case in Coinbase where they were gonna be listing like 4 new coins, and before Coinbase listed these 4 new coins, somebody using a wallet from Coinbase, and if you want, you can Google it, and you'll find about this story. So someone in Coinbase, 24 hours before these coins got listed, he used one of Coinbase wallet to buy like $200,000 worth of these coins. And then 24 hours later, when the coins were released to the market, these coins pumped, and this random wallet that pertains to Coinbase sold the coins at a profit and made like $1.6 million in profit. So what happened? This random guy on Twitter by the name of Kobe, He's not a detective. He's not a police officer. He's just a random guy that knows how to work his way around the blockchain. So he was looking into Coinbase's wallets and he saw this, and he posted it on Twitter like, "Hey, this is super weird that Coinbase, bought some coins before they were listing the coins on the exchange, and then sold them." So this tweet gathered a lot of attention, and the SEC eventually saw the tweet, and they rained down on Coinbase. They actually saw that Coinbase did do an illegal trade, and the great thing about this is a couple of weeks ago, Justin and I were talking on a podcast that the technology to eradicate corruption is already here. You know, that we already have blockchain, that blockchain is here to eradicate corruption. And this is a first major step where we see blockchain actually working as it's supposed to be working, because this illegal trade that was executed at Coinbase was found by a normal guy like you and me. It's like I was just in my computer looking at Coinbase wallet. I saw something suspicious. I reported it on Twitter, and it was not immediate. It took like two months to get the SEC's attention, but it happened. A normal citizen like you and I was looking at the public immutable records of blockchain, and he got Coinbase into trouble. So right now, thanks to these, I mean, this was not like a major trade. It was just like $1.6 million, which I know is a lot for a lot of people. But for Coinbase levels, these guys are trading billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a lot, but it raised a red flag on Coinbase. So now the SEC is looking at Coinbase. So right now they fired, like a regular guy who wasn't like the CEO or the COO or whatever. But the SEC's attention is already over Coinbase, and they're gonna start digging and they're gonna find stuff, and everything is recorded on the blockchain. So this is why it is very important that we demand that our governments, our leaders, all the representation that we have to use blockchain, because this way we know exactly what is coming in, what is coming out, and we all can look at it. So this is gonna save the planet from corruption.
Yeah, man, it's such a great story. I mean, and I'm amazed that the SEC is actually going after a criminal instead of persecuting people who are innocent. But I think that it's absolutely awesome, and I hope that some real change comes about it. And you're right. I'm sure that when they start digging into all of that, then there's going to be interesting some other things that are going to be found. But yeah, I mean, that's just so amazing to me that like some random guy, I mean, and you're exactly right. This is why we need blockchain-based voting systems. This is why we need, everybody's fighting. There's so much fighting that goes on about the voting system in the United States. And we have the answer. We've had the answer to that whole debacle. We have the answer for a voting system for every country in the world that is immutable, and that can't be changed and can't be rigged and can't be this and can't be that. It's the same thing. Imagine if our governments were on their entire system, and all of the funds that come in and out was all on a blockchain that we could all see. Imagine,
that sounds great, to be honest. Well, for them it might not be that great because they can no longer do insider trading and do all this corruption that we know they do. But for us it is great because now we're in control of what's going on. The people is back in control of what we should have always been in control of.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's exactly where we need to go. Cool. And all right. So and then I know that you have a second kind of corruption story.
Yes. So it's amazing because this is a corruption story on the blockchain. So now I want to talk about a corruption story that did not happen in the blockchain. This time I'm gonna talk about Nancy Pelosi. I don't know how to pronounce
Nancy
her.
Pelosi. Yep.
Pelosi. Yeah. So she has a husband that is a trader. And there's going to, I think actually it already happened on Friday. There was a bill that's about chips. So right now with COVID, we had like a shortage on chips, and this bill is going to help increase the production of chips all over the United States. So they're going to make, they actually already did an agreement with NVIDIA to increase the production of chips. And for whatever reason, Nancy's husband bought a bunch of stock on NVIDIA, and somebody heard about it. How did they find about it? I don't know exactly, because this does not happen on blockchain, because this is still the old traditional asset system and stocks and whatever. But someone found out about it. And in one of the meetings Pelosi was having with the people, a heckler came out and said like, hey, what about the rumors that your husband bought NVIDIA stocks before the bill passed? Are these allegations true? Are you doing insider trading? And she just like, she kind of like freaked out a little bit, and she was like, no, this is absolutely untrue, and this is false. And then there was an actual reporting that Nancy's husband actually sold all her stocks, and you can Google it. I mean, I don't know how people found out about, them having the assets and them selling the assets, because this is not on the blockchain. I mean, I don't know how they got the information, but the information came out, and y'all can Google it. Y'all can look for yourselves, and this happened. But since they sold the action before the bill, they did not get any profits. So if they would have kept the actions, the stocks after the bill, they would have made a lot of profits, and they would have been incriminated, because they had a lot of profits from insider trading. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that this is the difference between using blockchain and using the traditional system. If they were on blockchain, all of this would have been recorded, and it would have been accessible to the public, and we would all seen that her husband made a trade for NVIDIA and then sold the actions, right? We don't have this information to the public. Like I said, I don't know who got this information, but these rumors came out, and they talked to Nancy in public, and she denied it. And then there was information about her husband selling the stocks. So this is why it is very important to have the blockchain technology applied to all our leaders, politicians, and all that, because this way we're gonna eradicate corruption. So the purpose of this story that I'm telling you about is how blockchain is already here to solve the major problems that the world is encountering with corruption and all the voting and all this crazy stuff that's going on. And the moment we start demanding our leaders and politicians and governments to use this technology, the corruption is over. If Nancy would have made these trades on the blockchain, she would probably already maybe not, she wouldn't be in jail, because prosecution takes weeks or even months, but the SEC would have already been over her. And like I said, you guys can Google it. You can Google Nancy Pelosi NVIDIA case with her husband, and there's information on her doing some shady stuff. I'm not gonna go as far out to say insider trading right now, because it's not been proven yet, but it happened.
Yeah, I got an article from the Daily Mail up here right here. It says on June 17th, he purchased 20,000 shares of NVIDIA.
There you go. There you go.
What a coincidence, right before his.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course it was insider trading. I mean, absolutely, 100% insider trading. I think.
I mean, how else? I mean, I have an actual number here on Nancy's salary. Okay, so Nancy is making 200K a year, and her actual net worth is $196 million. So yeah. How does one person that make 200K a year have $196 million net worth? I mean, is she better than Warren Buffett trading? Is she better than the The experts on on Wall Street and the stock market trading, or is she doing something shady? I don't think she's better than the best market traders on Wall Street. So she's absolutely doing insider trading. I think that there's definitely shady stuff going on in there. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get how someone on 200K a year has $196 million. I mean, I wish someone could explain it to me, because I personally do not see the numbers of that happening.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of insider stuff that happens, especially with American politicians, not just insider trading, but lots of insider deals, et cetera, et cetera. And this is how they make their money illegally while they're in office. And, the point of this conversation, like you were saying, is if we had a blockchain, let's say, would track all of all of our publicly elected officials financial transactions. So you could go on a blockchain, you could go to a certain address, and you could see every transaction that Nancy Pelosi makes, including the pizza that she just bought for her kids last night. Because honestly, if you think about it, when you are in a public office, where you are representing other people, that is the kind of scrutiny that you should be under. And we should be able to see all of that. So imagine being able to have a blockchain where we could see every single one of her transactions. This is how you keep these people honest. And, of course, 90% of the politicians, probably not only in America, but in the world, would not have a job right now if this was the case. But that's the point. We need to get rid of the corruption in the system, and we need to rebuild the system to make it better and have honest people in there who are not going to do this crazy stuff. So, I think that there's just so many opportunities for blockchain to be an incredible tool to completely change this world and make it such a better place.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about a couple of things. First and foremost, I got to make sure that my computer is not going to die. So give me a second.
Sure.
But I wanted to share. I thought that we could talk a little bit about the housing market. I've been seeing some interesting things going on, and then I also wanted to kind of go over what's happening this week in the sort of markets, in the financial, the global markets, and sort of the financial world that's going to kind of affect the market. So, I shared a video from this guy last time, but I'm going to share another one because he's really on top of it. If anybody is interested in really looking at, he really focuses on the housing market, but he also talks about kind of the overall economy. Reventure Consulting is the name of the YouTube channel. Check him out. I think he is spot on and really has incredible information, and really it's just, he focuses all on the data. That's really what it's about. He's not reading mainstream media, et cetera, et cetera. It's just all about what he's seeing. So, and this video was a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of wanted to get your point of view on it, Fernando, but he's kind of talking about this debt bubble. So we have this situation in America, and this is happening in a lot of other countries too, where we have this massive debt bubble that's starting to happen. It's in America, it's a $63 trillion debt bubble. That's the consumer debt. That's the government debt. That's kind of all the debt put together. And before this, he's talking a little bit about just how this this debt bubble is affecting America, and kind of how we've hit a ceiling where we don't really have a lot more room to continue to borrow money. And the solution in the past, especially when COVID, was for the government to give out all of this stimulus money and everything, which I'm not a fan of, but they don't really have that choice anymore. So we're kind of at this place where inflation is rising so much, and we have this amount of debt that we've never seen before. The world's debt is 400 times the world GDP, which is it just blows my mind. And that we're really in a place where we could potentially see something of a really big burst. So this is really interesting data that he talks about. Let's take a listen.
Viable
Sure.
solutions, because if we take a look at data over the last 50 to 60 years, we can see that right now in America, total debt is around 297% of personal income. That's again the 63 trillion in debt compared to the 21 trillion in income in America. Now, if we go back to the 1970s, we can see that the debt levels were a much more manageable 147% of total income. And so that meant that when the inflation surged in the 70s and 80s, it was bad, but Americans actually were then able to take out more debt in following years to compensate for the fact that the cost of goods was higher. So that kept the economy going. However, now in 2022, with this massive inflation surge, we don't have the room anymore to take out more debt, which is ultimately going to mean a debt crisis and a deleveraging in the economy that's going to be very painful. It's going to be like weaning off a drug. We've gotten so used to over the last 15 years that debt would come to the rescue, whether it was government debt or consumer debt or corporate debt. There'd be a way that money could come into the system and keep things going. And that's not going to happen in the same way going forward, which is going to lead to a lot of layoffs. It's going to lead to lots of company bankruptcies, and it's going to lead to an even further crash in the stock market, in the housing market, in the crypto market. And some of
What do you think, Fernando?
I think he's absolutely right. However, I feel like these can be avoided if someone comes up with a real good answer to the problem. So, like he said, now we cannot fix the money by printing more money. I'm sorry. Now we cannot fix a problem by printing more money because inflation is already too high. So if you keep printing money, your money is gonna be worthless, and you're not gonna be able to pay for rent. You're gonna be able to pay for food, which we're already there. So we're already at the crossroads. So something needs to happen right now, or the scenario he's playing is going to happen. I don't know what the solution for this is going to be, but it comes to mind that possibly the best solution for this would be a fork of the US dollar. What do you think about that?
Well, I personally don't like the US dollar at all. I wish that we could I want to see a replacement for the US dollar, something like Meta One that's gold backed, or like you were saying, a basket of kind of blockchain based currencies. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I kind of have a little bit of a more I don't know. I'm just more far gone when it comes to really believing that this system that's based on debt is a system that we really can continue to that we can fix. I just think that we need a completely separate solution to returning back to a economy that is based on abundance versus based on debt. And as painful as thinking about recession, asset prices crashing, all this different stuff, because nobody wants to talk about this stuff. None of us want this to happen. Nobody does, because it's not good for anybody. But at the same time, I sometimes ask myself if that is what it's going to take for the world to wake up and realize that we need a different solution, and we need something that is going to be completely different, that is not a regurgitation of the same idea that these people have been coming up with forever, because it's this cyclical cycle, right? It's the boom bust cycle. It's they create the crash, we crash 80 or 90%, then they're there to rescue us, and then they create the boom, and they know the cycles. And that's also how a lot of these wealthy insider politicians make their money, because they know these things are going to happen, and so they insider trade. They trade a certain amount of times, and that's how the Clintons and the Pelosi's of the world and all of these evil people become multi-millionaires, or even more than that. Because honestly, I think that Nancy Pelosi and people like that are worth way more than $150 million. I think
I'm pretty sure about that.
That's just the money that they're telling people about. And so I don't know. I just think that I think we're really at a crossroads, like you talked about
Yeah.
in human history with what direction do we want to go? Are we on the bandwagon of innovation and actually having a world where we have a financial system that is built on abundance? Or are we still going to continue to go down the path of debt? Because at the end of the day, with a debt-based system, this is the way that the system gets saved, is by more debt. But like he said in that video, we're at a point where we that's not possible anymore. So what are we going to do? And I think that this is the crossroads that you're talking about. And for me, I just feel like there needs to be more of a drastic, a different solution than trying to fix the old system.
Well, to be honest, I feel like there's no need to reinvent the wheel because the wheel already works, but it has some problems. So the economy, like for example, Meta One Coin or Bitcoin, what do we base Meta One or Bitcoin on? On the US dollar. So I feel like we do need, a fiat currency to be like an index currency with which we measure the value of everything. And this index currency might have the ability to print more in order to correct, I don't know, the market, in order to create wealth or whatever. However, that shouldn't be the only currency that we have. We should also be able to have currencies like the Meta One coin that are a deflation coin that's always increasing in value. Because this way, if you leave your money on US dollars for 10 years, you're gonna lose like 70% of your net worth, and you're not gonna get it back. But if you leave your, for example, your money on Bitcoin for 10 years, it's gonna increase. So we should have more than one currency at play, and the government should recognize more than one currency in order to fight inflation. Because we're not gonna, I mean, like the guy from the video said, it is not possible to keep printing money to solve the problem because inflation is too high. So since inflation is too high, the amount of money you pay the people that work for you is not enough to pay for food or for rent. So since it is not enough to pay for food or for rent, people are no longer going to buy the products of the corporation, and people are no longer going to work the jobs of the corporation. So if you're a corporation and people do not buy your products and people do not work, your corporation, the corporation is going to fall down. It doesn't matter if they print trillions of dollars. There is no purpose on having, the company. Could you give me a second? Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, it's because they were blending something in the kitchen. So I was telling you that there is no purpose right now on printing more money if the money is gonna be worthless. What is the purpose of the government giving money to the corporations if no one's gonna work the jobs? Because inflation, it is not making it possible for people to work the jobs. And I actually sent you a link right now on Wire. Could you go ahead and open it?
That's open.
Okay, so that's the current amount of debt that every country has. I think the actual numbers are a little bit higher now. I don't know when it was the last time that they updated these numbers. So you can see that, all the countries that have the biggest debt are countries under the G7, which means that there are countries that are working with the US, except China. But China has the ability of printing money just like the United States. I think it is the only country, and you can Google this if you want. China is the only country outside the G7 with the ability of printing money to purchase assets. So what a lot of people don't know is that the money that these governments are printing, they don't owe it to anyone. They owe it to themselves. So they don't have to pay it to anyone. They go on the news and they tell you like, oh, we have a massive debt and we have to pay it back They don't have to pay it back because they're the money printer. It's like, I bet you played Monopoly, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and when you run out of money on Monopoly, what happens? You start printing money out of thin air, and who do you have to pay the money back as the bank? No one, because you're the bank.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. All the money that they're printing it out of thin air. They don't have assets to back it up. The money is not backed by gold, is not backed by oil, is not backed by anything other than the military force. So they don't care if they're creating inflation, because to fight the inflation they are encountering, they're just printing more money. So let's say that they have $10 million, and by printing a lot of money, now they're $10 million, they're worth $5 million. It doesn't matter, because they'll just print $10 more million to compensate the loss that they have. Sure, the money is now worth less, but it doesn't matter because they printed $10 more million and they can compensate the loss. But you and me, regular people, cannot go and press a button and print the money and compensate the loss. We're screwed. The loss of the game just got harder for us, and eventually they're gonna get so hard that the system's not gonna be stable. And like I said, people are gonna work jobs, and people are not gonna buy products, and the whole system's gonna collapse, because eventually money is gonna be worth nothing, like Venezuela. Doesn't matter that you have a bank account that has 1 trillion zeros, because those zeros are worth nothing. And that's where we at right now. If we don't fix what's happening right now, if we don't fix the economy, there's going to be a massive crash, and who knows what's going to happen. I don't really think that things are going to get that bad, because I know we already have very smart people working to find a solution. And we have Bitcoin, we have Meta One, that even at a recession, Meta One is stronger than ever. So I don't think it's gonna get that bad, because we already have people, very smart people, working on the problem. But if we drop the ball, it's gonna get very, very, very bad.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And yeah, I mean, I think this multi-pronged concept of using blockchain and using cryptocurrency is it's not just it's not just like, for example, Meta One is the currency that we would use on a regular basis to buy and sell. That's great, but you're exactly right. So right now, a lot of the times we are valuing Meta One in fiat, in US dollars, and in Great British pounds and Canadian dollars, whatever it is. And we need to get away from that. So that idea about using blockchain to create something maybe like a index in currency is a great thing to be able to base our value off of. Because even with gold, right? With gold that backs the Meta One, we are valuing that gold in US dollars. We don't have another way of being able to assign a value to that gold. I mean, we can say, this is 5 tons of gold, but we don't know what the value is.
Exactly.
So that's why we need something like that, and that's why there's a concept of putting this all together in a multi-pronged solution of blockchain technology, where we have a coin that appreciates like Meta One, and we have an indexable coin, and we have a coin that's maybe specifically for buying a specific item or specific class of items or assets or whatever it is, so that or we have for example, we have a coin that is only for government spending, that is on a specific blockchain that everybody in that country has access to. That's not just the same currency that everyone else uses, so that we can differentiate and go, okay, why is, what's happening here? Why is there $500 million being poured into the Pentagon every single day? What are they doing with that money? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's the world of blockchain is just so exciting. And, as we dive deeper into it, it really opens up so many opportunities to simply just fix the problems that we have going on. And You know, if we can just get everybody on board to do it, because at the end of the day, if you are a good person who wants just to be happy, you want your family to be happy, you want to have love in your life, and you know, you want to be able to live a good life, you're for blockchain technology, and you should be doing everything you can to work to push the world towards that, because there's nobody out there's no other solution out there that is going to provide the transparency and the natural anti-corruption mechanism that blockchain has built into it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, you know, I keep on trying to talk about the housing market. I don't get to it every episode. Maybe next episode I will.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've already talked for quite a while here, but it was a great conversation, and I know that if we don't stop ourselves, we can go on for hours. So
yeah, we always say we're gonna talk just for like 15 minutes, and we end up taking an hour session. It's good talk. You know, it's interesting to talk about these subjects.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Cool. Well, before we wrap up really quick, are there any highlights of specific events that are happening this week that you wanted to go over? What was that website that we were on last week? I can't remember the name of it.
Give me a second. I'll share it with you right now. Yeah, I think that's about all. I mean, I don't really have anything else interesting to talk about. The name is cryptocraft.com.
Cryptocraft.com. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look just real quick and see if there's anything that is really sticks out to us that's coming up this week. I'm gonna go over to, let's see, markets. I'm trying to, let's see here. All right, I'm going to share my screen here.
There you go.
Let's see if we have anything interesting on here. What's in red? Well, the unemployment rate, that's going to be really interesting to see. If we continue to go up in the unemployment rate, there has been some pretty significant layoffs in the tech industry lately. But you know, I think that we're still kind of at the early stages of that, so we may not see anything major there. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really see anything, you know. Just for those who are interested in this stuff or want to follow this stuff, I really find the ISM services PMI very interesting. ISM is basically a survey, and it's a survey of all of the buyers at all big corporations. And basically they ask them a series of questions on like, what are you buying now, and how much are you buying it for, and are you buying you know, are there specific things that you're not buying anymore because they're too expensive, or et cetera, et cetera. And so that is actually a forecast of where the economy is going. And it's really interesting to look at. Raoul Paul kind of talked about that on that segment that we watched last week on Robert Kiyosaki's show, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Basically, it's interesting to see. So I like to pay attention to that, but I don't see anything else on here that's like really crazy important to you.
Not really. If you go to the news section all the way to the top, and then to, yeah, there you go. There's a little more topics that you can talk about, like for example, you know who Craig Wright is, right? You know, the biggest scammer in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So this is this guy who's claiming he's Satoshi, and now the court ruled that, you know, a lot of what he was saying and the evidence he had was fake. So we had that interesting stuff happening today, and there's, yeah, I mean, you can use this website to kind of be more in touch with what's happening on the crypto world, and not just the crypto world, the stock market. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot happening today, but if you want to take a deeper look, this is an amazing place to find out a lot of information.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, Fernando, thanks so much for your time, man. It's great having conversation with you every week. We'll be back same time, same place next week, folks. And next week we'll talk a little bit about the housing market, since I've been dying to talk about this for a while. And we'll see what else happens this week, because you never know. Something crazy could happen in an hour. We have no idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll see
Cool.
you guys next week then.
All right. Take care. Thanks, Fernando. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.